Anna, I know you've been studying the Beatitudes and doing it in the Spanish service as well. So I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite?
Well, of all the Beatitudes, my favorite one is "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God."
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
I love that one too. So tell me, what does it mean to you?
Why the pure of heart? Because I have come to believe in my own path, Newsom, that putting the interest of the heart, it's the way to happiness, it's the way to freedom. It's, even though we might go through certain troubles, as we allow and trust the heart's direction, ultimately, it's the way of experiencing the presence and the kingdom of God that Jesus spoke about. So being pure of heart means that you are allowing, it's like being faithful to that calling, to that message. It's subtle. Sometimes it can scare you because it might be opposite to what the mind or the ego says. But being in that purity of the space of the heart and being faithful to that and trusting it and follow its lead will not only get us to where we ultimately want to be, but we will see the greatness of the divine in our lives.
What makes the heart pure? Is it when the heart is pure or when? So one of my thoughts around that was that as the unconscious becomes cleaned up, it becomes pure. And Emmett Fox would say that the heart represents the unconscious of the human being. And that heart is what really is governs our lives. You know, we talk about consciousness governing your life, and many times you have a thought on the surface, but if the underneath is not in agreement, it's the underneath that wins. And
Right.
if your unconscious, which is bigger and more persistent, if that is not purified in essence, I'm guessing, another way of saying it, then you may have the fleeting thought of, I love everyone, but underneath you're having an experience of anger and frustration. And that then becomes what is reflected back to you and keeps you from seeing the face of God in everything.
You know, when you're talking the unconscious and the subconscious and conscious and superconscious, we're still dealing with the mind. And the mind, to me, operates at the, third dimension. But the heart, it's like the doorway to another experience that has not been touched or conditioned by any mind. So we could be, of course, non-pure by holding error thoughts or wounds in our consciousness that we carry. And of course, we need to deal with that in order to change our life and our experience. But even if you are still struggling with that, you can tap into the wisdom of that heart that is completely pure and untouched and unconditioned to almost get the power and the strength to then cope with the cleansing of the unconscious.
Okay, so let's talk about how to get into it.
How to get there.
Yeah.
What I have found that really helps into coming back to the heart space, I would say that it's when I trust, I'm in my heart. When I forgive, I'm in my heart. When I can express and be in a state of gratitude, I'm in my heart. When and this is a big one, to me, this is the most important and the most difficult. You want to know what that is?
I'm on the edge of my stool.
I know you know, Newsom, you know the answer.
I'm asking the question. So tell me what you're thinking.
The surrender. And then the other practice that, the devotional aspect of the divine, the Shakti yoga that Ram Dass talks about, in which we we have a practice of being in the heart and showing praise for the divine, singing. This is all heart stuff that really brings me back to that space and that purity.
For me, the practice of forgiveness is really so fundamental to actually being whole and complete yourself. You know, if you will forgive another, then you have extended grace to them, but also to yourself. And then the other one you mentioned was, that's really big for you, is surrender. So how do you get to that?
I think we cannot surrender without trust and faith. And when I have trouble surrendering, I try to do this mental exercise of doing a life review and try to bring experiences in my life that I have seen the power of the divine take over and bring forth the blessing or the good. Even though I might have been questioning and resisting the process, ultimately I would see like a divine order beautifully expressed through the whole experience. And reviewing that and getting in tune with that emotion, I transport that into the present moment and say, I might be questioning, I might not trust fully, but if God did it before, it can be done.
Let's come to devotion.
The definition of devotion, it's an intense love. And just be there in a love relationship with the divine. And to me, you know, sometimes by listening to a song, being in nature and walking with my Apple Music and my favorite songs and hugging a tree, it's like I'm with all of life. It's a heart experience. And being in that space of the heart, of the purity of the heart, it's experiencing God, Neusom, and experiencing the kingdom. And not necessarily we can express that through words or even thoughts. It's beyond all of that.
That's beautiful, Anna.